Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, chapter 26, text 23. Satvam mukham suddhati subra anuraga bharam Ida vilamba vilasada tavalokam Nilalakali virupaskritam Punah samna Swanam pradarshavya manasvi nivalkuvakyam Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My dear wife, your teeth are very beautifully set, and your attractive features make you appear very thoughtful. Kindly give up your anger, be merciful upon me, and please smile upon me with loving attachment. When I see a smile on your beautiful face, and when I see your hair, which is as beautiful as the color blue, and see your raised nose, and hear your sweet talk, you will become more beautiful to me, and thus attract me and oblige me. You are my most respected mistress. An effeminate husband, simply being attracted by the external beauty of his wife, tries to become her most obedient servant. Sripad Shankaracharya has therefore advised that we not become attracted by a lump of flesh and blood. The story is told that at one time, a man, very much attracted to a beautiful woman, wooed the woman in such a way that she devised a plan to show him the ingredients of her beauty. The woman made a date to see him, and before seeing him, she took a purgative, and that whole day and night she simply passed stool, and she preserved that stool in a pot. The next night, when the man came to see her, she appeared very ugly and emaciated. When the man inquired from her about the woman with whom he had an engagement, she replied, I am that very woman. The man refused to believe her, not knowing that she had lost all her beauty due to the violent purgative that caused her to pass through day and night. When the man began to argue with her, the woman said that she was not looking beautiful because she was separated from the ingredients of her beauty. When the man asked how she could be so separated, the woman said, Come on, and I will show you. The woman then showed him the pot filled with the liquid stool and vomit. Thus the man became aware that a beautiful woman is simply a lump of matter composed of blood, stool, urine, and similar other disgusting ingredients. This is the actual fact. But in a state of illusion, man becomes attracted by illusory beauty and becomes a victim of Maya. So for the man is the woman, and for the woman is the man. And we get attracted by the body. King Purañjana begged his queen to return to her original beauty. He tried to revive her, just as a living entity tries to revive his original consciousness, Krishna consciousness, which is very beautiful. All the beautiful features of the queen could be compared to the beautiful features of Krishna consciousness. When one returns to his original Krishna consciousness, he actually becomes steady and his life becomes successful. So right now our consciousness has become material consciousness. We are always trying to enjoy this material world. How can I enjoy more and more? Each one of us may have different ideas of enjoyment, but the desire is one, that how can I enjoy the material world? But our original consciousness is Krishna consciousness, because we, each and every one of us, is part and parcel of Krishna. We have a loving relationship with Krishna. So we need to revive this original Krishna consciousness. And we can revive it by hearing and chanting. Hearing from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And one who can revive this original Krishna consciousness, then his human life is actually successful. We give different labels that I will be successful if I have this, or someone is successful because he or she has this. But we are actually successful when we can revive our original Krishna consciousness. Tasmin dadidamam aham tava veerapatni
Tadidimam aham tava veerapatni
yonyatra bhusra kolakrita kilvishastam
yomatra bhusara kulatkrita kirvisastam
Pashena vita bhayam unmitam trilokyam
Shena vita bhayam anuditam trilokyam
anyatra vaimu raripor etaratra dasat.
Anyatra vemura ripo itaratra dasha.
O hero's wife, kindly tell me if someone has offended you. I'm prepared to give such a person punishment. I'm sorry, as long as he does not belong to the Brahmana caste. But for the servant of Muraripu, Krishna, I excuse no one within or beyond these three worlds. No one can freely move after offending you, for I am prepared to punish him. According to Vedic civilization, a Brahmana, or one who is properly qualified to understand the absolute truth, that is, one belonging to the most intelligent social order, as well as the devotee of Lord Krishna, who is known as Muradvisha, enemy of a demon named Mura, is not subject to the rules and regulations of the state. In other words, upon breaking the laws of the state, everyone can be punished by the government except the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas. Brahmanas and Vaishnavas never transgress the laws of the state or the laws of nature because they know perfectly well the resultant reactions caused by such law breaking. So it is said that naturally a Brahmana and a Vaishnava will not break the law of nature because they are knowledge. Once we have knowledge, then we don't act ignorantly. We don't break the rules. As for example, we are living in a particular country. We know, okay, to live peacefully and not to get in trouble with the authorities, I should follow the rules. So same, Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, they understand that the laws of nature are there and they follow the rules. So even though they may sometimes appear to violate the laws, they are not to be punished by the king. This instruction was given to King Prachinavarishad by Narad Muni. King Purañjana was a representative of King Prachinavarishad, and Narad Muni was reminding King Prachinavarishad of his forefather, Maharaj Prithu, who never chastised a Brahmana or a Vaishnava. So Narad Muni is telling him that even if a Brahmana or Vaishnava he may appear that he's breaking the law of nature, transgressing the law. He's not to be reprimanded. Once pure intelligence or pure Krishna consciousness becomes polluted by material activities, pure consciousness can be revived by the process of sacrifice, charity, pious activities, etc. But when one pollutes his Krishna consciousness by offending a Brahmana or a Vaishnava, it is very difficult to revive. So our original consciousness, Krishna consciousness, can be revived by chanting the holy name. Process of sacrifice. The sacrifice meant in this age of Kali, the sacrifice recommended in the Shastras in this age of Kali is chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Charity, pious activities, etc., all in relation to Krishna. But when we offend a Brahmana or Vaishnava, it's difficult to revive. And that's the first offense to the holy name. Offending a devotee who's trying to spread the holy name of the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has described the Vaishnava Aprad or offense to a Vaishnava as the mad elephant offense. So we can see that the holy name takes the offense to his devotee personally. You know, we offend a devotee and a holy name, he withdraws his mercy. He takes that offense personally. Lord Chaitanya says this is the mad elephant offense. What is mad elephant? A mad elephant, he can enter a garden and completely destroy that garden. So similarly, we may be having a nice devotional creeper in our heart, Bhakti Lata, but by offending a devotee, it's like, you know, the mad elephant is entering the garden of our heart and uproots that Bhakti Lata. So one should be very careful not to offend a Vaishnava or a Brahmana. And if we do it, we should apologize for it to get nullified of the effect. Even the great yogi Durvasa was harassed by the Sudarshan Chakra when he offended the Vaishnava Maharaj Ambarish, who was neither a Brahmana nor a sannyasi, but an ordinary householder. Maharaj Ambarish was a Vaishnava and consequently Durvasa Muni was chastised. So then only when Durvasa Muni asked for forgiveness from Maharaj Ambarish that Krishna stopped the Sudarshan Chakra. So we can see because the devotees are very dear to Krishna. So he does not take the offense to the devotee lightly. The conclusion is that if Krishna consciousness is covered by material sins, one can eliminate the sins simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. But if one pollutes his Krishna consciousness by offending a Brahmana or a Vaishnava, one cannot revive it until one properly atones for the sin by pleasing the offended Vaishnava or Brahmana. So sinful reactions, we can overcome sinful reactions by engaging in devotional service, by chanting Hare Krishna. Of course, we cannot say, I'm going to sin, and then to nullify the effect, I'm going to chant. That is the seventh offense of the holy name, that committing sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. Yeah, but for example, if we have sinned and we want to overcome it, or we want to take away the desire to sin from our heart, we chant. But offenses is altogether another thing. For offenses, we have to atone for it. Constant chanting is needed. Really, really constant chanting. And of course, asking for forgiveness from the Vaishnava, from the devotee that we have offended, and trying to please that devotee. This was the course that the Rasa Muni had to follow, for he surrendered unto Maharaj Ambarish. A Vaishnava Aprad cannot be atoned for by any means other than by begging the pardon of the offended Vaishnava.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So sometimes we understand, oh, we did something wrong, but unknowingly, if we may have offended any devotee, then how do we know? And oh, we wouldn't apologize for something we didn't know, that oh, this was not right what we did.
You mean if unknowingly?
Yes.
Yeah, then we wouldn't know it. then we wouldn't apologize. Yeah, but if we are knowingly do it, then we have to apologize for it. Yeah, it's true, no? And
So we
once
have
we
to be
come to know
simple.
that we have to be careful, then we have to carefully avoid it then, after we come to know. Right? Also, we can
Yeah,
ask forgiveness in our mind from all Vaishnavas and say, please forgive me if I've knowingly or unknowingly offended you.
right.
Yeah,
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Vaktram nate vitelakamalitam viharsham.
Wow.
वक्त्रं वक्त्रं न ते वितीलकमालिनं विहर्षम्
Samram babhimam abhim prishtam apetaragam.
संरम्भ भीमम् अविमृष्टम् अपेतरागम्
Vashyestanavapi shuchopahatau sujatau.
पश्येस्तान्वपि शुच अपहतो सुजातो
Bimbadharam vikata kunkuma pankaragam.
बिम्बा अधरं विगत कुङ्कुम पङ्कराजम्
My dear wife, until this day, I have never seen your face without tilak decorations, nor have I seen you so morose and without luster or affection, nor have I seen your two nice breasts wet with tears from your eyes, nor have I ever before seen your lips, which are ordinarily as red as the bimba fruit, without their reddish hue. Every woman looks very beautiful when decorated with tilak and vermilion. A woman generally becomes very attractive when her lips are colored with reddish saffron or vermilion. We put lipstick nowadays. But when one's consciousness and intelligence are without any brilliant thoughts about Krishna, they become morose and lusterless, so much so that one cannot derive any benefit despite sharp intelligence. So the real intelligence is Krishna consciousness. That is the real intelligence. Tanme prasida surida krita kilvishasya.
तन्मे प्रसीदा सुहृद कृत किल्बिष्यस्य
Swaram gatasya mirkayam vyasanato rasya.
स्वैरं गतस्य मृगयां व्यसन् आतुरस्य
Kadevaram vasha gatam kusumastravega.
कादेवरं वशगतं कुसुमस्त्रवेगा
Visrastapomsnam ushatina bhajeta kritye.
विसत्रस्तपों उशती न भजेत कृत्य
My dear queen, due to my sinful desires, I went to the forest to hunt without asking you. Therefore, I must admit that I have offended you. Nonetheless, thinking of me as your most intimate subordinate, you should still be very much pleased with me. Factually, I'm very much bereaved, but being pierced by the arrow of Cupid, I am feeling lusty. But where is the beautiful woman who would give up her lusty husband and refuse to unite with him? Both man and woman desire one another. That is the basic principle of material existence. Women in general always keep themselves beautiful so that they can be attractive to their lusty husbands. When a lusty husband comes before his wife, the wife takes advantage of his aggressive activities and enjoys life. Generally, when a woman is attacked by a man, whether her husband or some other man, she enjoys the attack being too lusty. In other words, when one's intelligence is properly utilized, both the intellect and the intelligent person enjoy one another with great satisfaction. So when we intelligence, how are we properly using our intelligence? As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9, Text 45. Yan methunadi grahamedi sukham hitucham kanduyanena karayor eva dukkha dukkham. The actual happiness of the karmis is sex life. They work very hard outside the home, and to satiate themselves after their hard labor, they come home to enjoy sex life. King Purañjana went to the forest to hunt, and after his hard labor, he returned home to enjoy sex life. If a man lives outside the home and spends a week in a city or somewhere else, at the end of the week, he becomes very anxious to return home and enjoy sex with his wife. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, Yan Maithunadi Grahamedi Sukham Hitucham. Karmis work very hard simply to enjoy sex. Modern human society has improved the materialistic way of life simply by inducing unrestricted sex life in many different ways. This is most prominently visible in the Western world. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 4th Canto, 26th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled King Purañjana goes to the forest to hunt, and his queen becomes angry. So, chapter 27, attacked by Caṇḍavega, on the city of King Purañjana, the character of Caitaniya. Narada-vacha
Narada-vacha
Itham Puranjanam Sadriya
Itham Puranjam Sadrikka
Vashamanya Vibrame
Vashamaniya Vibrave
Puranjani Maharaja
Puranjani Maharaja
Reme Ramyati Patim.
Reme Ramyati Patim.
The great sage Narad continued, My dear king, after bewildering her husband in different ways and bringing him under her control, the wife of King Puranjana gave him all satisfaction and enjoyed sex life with him. After hunting in the forest, King Purañjana returned home, and after refreshing himself by taking a bath and eating nice food, he searched for his wife. When he saw her lying down on the ground without a bed, as if neglected and devoid of any proper dress, he became very much aggrieved. He then became attracted to her and began to enjoy her company. A living entity is similarly engaged in the material world in sinful activities. These sinful activities may be compared to King Puranjana's hunting in the forest. A sinful life can be counteracted by various processes of religion, such as yajna, vrat, and dan. That is, the performance of sacrifices, the taking of a vow for some religious ritual, and the giving of charity. So yajna, vrat, and dan, performing some sacrifice, taking up some religious ritual, vow for some religious ritual, and give charity. In this way, one may become free from the reactions of sinful life and at the same time awaken his original Krishna consciousness. So the yajna recommended, the sacrifice recommended in this age of Kali is chanting the Hare Krishna
Harinam.
mantra. Yes, Harinam, thank you. By coming home, taking his bath, eating nice foodstuff, getting refreshed, and searching out his wife, King Puranjana came to his good consciousness in family life. In other words, a systematic family life, as enjoined in the Vedas, is better than an irresponsible sinful life. If a husband and wife combine together in Krishna consciousness and live together peacefully, that is very nice. However, if a husband becomes too much attracted by his wife and forgets his duty in life, the implications of materialistic life will again resume. Srila Rupa Goswami has therefore recommended anasaktasya vishayam, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1.2.255. Without being attached by sex, the husband and wife may live together for the advancement of spiritual life. The husband should engage in devotional service, and the wife should be faithful and religious according to the Vedic injunctions. Such a combination is very good. However, if the husband becomes too much attracted to the wife due to sex, the position becomes very dangerous. Women in general are very much sexually inclined. Indeed, it is said that a woman's sex desire is 9 times stronger than a man's. It is therefore a man's duty to keep a woman under his control by satisfying her, giving her ornaments, nice food and clothes, and engaging her in religious activities. Of course, a woman should have a few children, and in this way not be disturbing to the man. Unfortunately, if the man becomes attracted to the woman simply for sex enjoyment, then family life becomes abominable. So having a proper family life, having children, having a nice home, a man taking care of the wife and the wife taking care of the husband. The great politician Chanakya Pandit has said, Bharya Rupavati Shatru, a beautiful wife is an enemy. Of course, every woman in the eyes of her husband is very beautiful. Others may see her as not very beautiful, but the husband, being very much attracted to her, sees her always as very beautiful. If the husband sees the wife as very beautiful, it is to be assumed that he is too much attracted to her. This attraction is the attraction of sex. The whole world is captivated by the two modes of material nature, Rajogun and Tamagun, passion and ignorance. Generally, women are very much passionate and are less intelligent. Therefore, somehow or other, a man should not be under the control of their passion and ignorance. By performing bhakti yoga or devotional service, a man can be raised to the platform of goodness. Bhagavatam says that as we are engaging in hearing Bhagavatam, serving the devotee Bhagavat, gradually, the effects of passion and ignorance in our heart goes away. And then as we continue gradually, we come to the point of goodness. And then at one point we can even transcend this form of material goodness and come to pure goodness, the Shuddha Sattva. If a husband situated in the mode of goodness can control his wife, who is in passion and ignorance, the woman is benefited. Forgetting her natural inclination for passion and ignorance, the woman becomes obedient and faithful to her husband, who is situated in goodness. Such a life becomes very welcome. The intelligence of the man and woman may then work very nicely together, and they can make a progressive march towards spiritual realization. Otherwise, the husband coming under the control of the wife sacrifices his quality of goodness and becomes subservient to the qualities of passion and ignorance. In this way, the whole situation becomes polluted. So in Krishna consciousness, man or woman, both are devotees. Both encourage each other in devotional service. The man encourages the wife and the wife encourages the husband. The conclusion is that a household life is better than a sinful life devoid of responsibility. But if in the household life, the husband becomes subordinate to the wife, involvement in materialistic life again becomes prominent. In this way, a man's material bondage becomes enhanced. Because of this, according to the Vedic system, after a certain age, a man is recommended to abandon his family life for the stages of Vanprasth and Sannyas. So gradual elevation of consciousness, at least having a family life, having regulated sense gratification, and then retiring from family life after the responsibilities are finished and focusing on spiritual life.
Hare Krishna.
Swaraj, Hare Krishna.
So, you know how in olden days, even now in some of the places in India and, even the Muslim community, the women, they still cover their faces with gungat and burqa, right? It's, yeah, so that probably that, not to distract men, maybe.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's true.
In a way, they are helping, right? Them to
Yes,
both, even the man and woman, they are in duties rather than being distracted otherwise.
yes, that's true.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, that was the whole point of that system. Yeah. So Saraja Mahishim Rajan
स राजा महिषीं राजन्
Susnatam Ruchirananam
सुस्नातं रुचिराननाम्
Kritasvastya Yanam Triptam
कृतस्वस्ति अयनां तृप्ताम्
Abhyanandad Upagatam.
अभयनन्दत् उपागताम्.
The queen took her bath and dressed herself nicely with all auspicious garments and ornaments. After taking food and becoming completely satisfied, she returned to the king. Upon seeing her beautifully decorated, attractive face, and the king welcomed her with all devotion. A woman is generally accustomed to dress herself nicely with fine garments and decorative ornaments. She may even sometimes wear flowers in her hair. Women especially dress themselves up in the evening because the husband comes home in the evening after working hard all day. It is the duty of the wife to dress herself up very nicely so that when her husband returns home, he becomes attracted by her dress and cleanliness and thus becomes satisfied. In other words, the wife is the inspiration of all good intelligence. Upon seeing one's wife dressed nicely, one can think very soberly about family business. When a person is too anxious about family affairs, he cannot discharge his family duties nicely. A wife is therefore supposed to be an inspiration and should keep the husband's intelligence in good order so that they can combinedly prosecute the affairs of family life without impediment. Tayo pagoda parirabdha kandaro
तया उपगूढ़ा परिरब्ध कंधरो
raho numantrer apakrishta chetana
रहो अनुमंत्रे उपकृष्ट चेतना
nakala ramho bubude duratyayam
न काल रहो बुबदे दुरतरम
Vishanisheti paramadam parigraha. Pramadam
दिवानिशा दिवानिशेति प्रमदा परिग्रह.
Queen Purañjani embraced the king, and the king also responded by embracing her shoulders. In this way, in a solitary place, they enjoyed joking words. Thus, King Puranjan became very much captivated by his beautiful wife and deviated from his good sense. He forgot that the passing of days and nights meant that his span of life was being reduced without profit. The word pramada in this verse is very significant. A beautiful wife is certainly enlivening to her husband, but at the same time is the cause of degradation. The word pramada means enlivening as well as maddening. Generally, a householder does not take the passing of days and nights very seriously. A person in ignorance takes it as the usual course that days come and after the days, the nights come. This is the law of material nature. But a man in ignorance does not know that when the sun rises early in the morning, it begins to take away the balance of his life. Thus, day after day, the span of one's life is reduced, and forgetting the duty of human life, the foolish man simply remains in the company of his wife and enjoys her in a secluded place. Such a condition is called apakrishta chetana, or degraded consciousness. Human consciousness should be used for elevation to Krishna consciousness. But when a person is too much attracted to his wife and family affairs, he does not take Krishna consciousness very seriously. He thus becomes degraded, not knowing that he cannot buy back even a second of his life in return for millions of dollars. We don't understand that how with each passing of the day, our life is in this body is being reduced day after day after day after day. So the greatest loss in this life is passing time without understanding Krishna. Every moment of our lives should be utilized properly. And the proper use of life is to increase devotional service to the Lord. So Prabhupada is helping us understand what is the proper use of every moment. Proper use of every moment is to increase devotional service. And that is the proper use of our life, because the goal of life is to understand Krishna, to revive our loving relationship with Krishna. So we have each of us been allotted a certain time in our body. And if we can utilize that time well and revive our relationship with Krishna, then that is our success. Without devotional service to the Lord, the activities of life become simply a waste of time. Shrama eva hi kevalam. Simply by becoming dutiful, we do not make any profit in life. As confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 1-8. Dharma sva anushtita pumsam vishvakshena katha suya notpadayet yadi ratim shrama eva hi kevalam. If after performing one's occupational duty very perfectly, one does not make progress in Krishna consciousness, it should be understood that he has simply wasted his time in valueless labor. So Bhagavatam is saying that come to Krishna consciousness. The reason for us to do our duties very nicely is to bring us to the level of Krishna consciousness. Like we are doing kindergarten, then we have to do first grade, second grade. We have to keep on going on further and further. So we are doing our duties nicely, but by doing our duties nicely, we should come to the platform of Krishna consciousness, doing our duties for the pleasure of Krishna. Otherwise, Bhagavatam says, is Shrama eva hi kevalam, that we didn't do what was needed, like what was the purpose of doing our duty, that we didn't understand. And that purpose is to become Krishna conscious. Shayana unnada madhumahamana
Jnana unnado madmahamana
maharatalpe mahishi bhujopati pati
maharyatalpe mahishibhuj upadi
tam eva viro manute param yatas
tamev viro manute param yat
tamo vibhuto nanijam param chayat.
samato abhibhuto na nijam param chaya.
In this way, increasingly overwhelmed by illusion, King Purañjana, although advanced in consciousness, remained always lying down with his head on the pillow of his wife's arms. In this way, he considered woman to be his ultimate life and soul. Becoming thus overwhelmed by the mode of ignorance, he could not understand the meaning of self-realization, whether regarding his own self or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Human life is meant for self-realization. Okay. First of all, one has to realize his own self, which is described in this verse as Nijam. Then one has to understand or realize the Super Soul or Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, when one becomes too much materially attached, it takes a woman to be everything. This is the basic principle of material attachment. In such a condition, one cannot realize his own self or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.2, it is therefore said, Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Vimuktes Tamo Dwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangam. If one associates with Mahatmas or devotees, his path of liberation is opened. But if one becomes too much attached to women or to persons who are also attached to women, that is, attached to women directly or indirectly, he opens the Tamodwaram, the door to the darkest region of hellish life. So if we at all want liberation, we should associate with the devotees, Mahatmas. That's what Bhagavatam is telling us. Bhagavatam is telling us how we can get liberation, get attached to the devotees of Krishna. Purañjana was a great soul, highly intellectual and possessed of advanced consciousness. But due to his being too much addicted to women, his whole consciousness was covered. In the modern age, the consciousness of people is too much covered by wine, women, and flesh. Consequently, people are completely unable to make any progress in self-realization. The first step of self-realization is to know oneself as spirit soul apart from the body. So the preliminary understanding, I am not the body, I am the soul. That's the first level. First stage, understand, oh, I am not the body, I am a spirit soul. Second stage of self-realization, one comes to know that every soul, every individual living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, Paramatma, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's not enough only to understand that I'm not the body, I'm spirit soul. But we have to come to the second stage of self-realization, understanding that every soul is a part and parcel of the Super Soul. Every Atma is a part and parcel of the Paramatma. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 15.7. Mamaivam sav jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manasasthanindriyani prakritisthani karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. So we are parts and parcels of Krishna. We are soul. We are not the body. We are the soul. And we are part and parcel of Krishna. The soul, every soul is part and parcel of Krishna. But we have forgotten it. And we are thinking we are the body. And that is our conditioned life. And because of this conditioned life, we are struggling very, very hard. We are trying to imitate God. And in trying to imitate God, we are struggling. We are forgetting that we are not God, but part and parcel of God. And the correct understanding is to understand I'm part and parcel of God. But right now in our conditioned life, we are thinking, I'm God. And that is what the struggle is. Like our capacity is to hold 5 kilo and we are trying to hold, you're trying our best to hold, say, 200 kilos when the capacity is only 5. So all living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Unfortunately, in this present civilization, both men and women are allowed to be attracted to one another from the very beginning of life. And because of this, they are completely unable to come to the platform of self-realization. They do not know that without self-realization, they suffer the greatest loss in the human form of life. Thinking of a woman always within one's heart is tantamount to lying down with a woman on a valuable bedstead. The heart is the bedstead, and it is the most valuable bedstead. When a man thinks of woman and money, he lies down and rests on the arm of his beloved woman or wife. In this way, he overindulges in sex life and thus becomes unfit for self-realization. So again, for the man, it's the woman, and for the woman, it's the man. So association of devotees is helpful. Associating with the devotees means hearing and chanting. That is association with devotees, hearing and chanting in the association of devotees. Hearing and chanting in the association of devotees. The yevam ramamanasya
तयेव रममानस्य
kama kashmala chetasa
कामकश्मलचेतसः
shanardham iva rajendra
क्षणाधर्मीव राजेन्द्र
pratikrantam navam vaya.
व्यतिकान्तं नवं वयः.
My dear King Prachina Barishad, in this way, King Purañjana, with his heart full of lust and sinful reactions, began to enjoy sex with his wife, and in this way, his new life and youth expired in half a moment. Srila Govindas Thakur has sung, Edhana Yovana Putra Parijana, Itikiyacha Pari Parati Tire, Kamala Dala Jala, Jivana Talamala, Vajaham Hari Padani Tire. In this verse, Srila Govinda Das actually says that there is no bliss in the enjoyment of youthful life. In youth, a person becomes very lusty to enjoy all kinds of sense objects. The sense objects are form, taste, smell, touch, and sound. The modern scientific method or advancement of scientific civilization encourages the enjoyment of these five senses. The younger generation is very pleased to see a beautiful form, to hear radio messages of material news and sense gratificatory songs, to smell nice scents and nice flowers, and to touch the soft body or breasts of a young woman, and gradually touch the sex organs. All of this is also very pleasing to the animals. Therefore, in human society, there are restrictions in the enjoyment of the five sense objects. If one does not follow, he becomes exactly like an animal. Thus, in this verse, it is specifically stated, Kama Shamala Chetasa, the consciousness of King Purañjana, was polluted by lusty desires and sinful activities. In the previous verse, it is stated that Purañjana, although advanced in consciousness, lay down on a very soft bed with his wife. This indicates that he indulged too much in sex. So he had already begun his Krishna consciousness. See, he had retired, he gave up the hunting, then he took up Krishna consciousness, but then again he gave up his practice. The words Navam Vaya are also significant in this verse. They indicate the period of youth from age 16 to 30. These 13 or 15 years of life are years in which one can very strongly enjoy the senses. When one comes to this age, he thinks that life will go on and that he will simply continue enjoying his senses. But time and tide wait for no man. The span of youth expires very quickly. One who wastes his life simply by committing sinful activities in youth immediately becomes disappointed and delusioned when the brief period of youth is over. The material enjoyments of youth are especially pleasing to a person who has no spiritual training. If one is trained only according to the bodily conception of life, He simply leads a disappointed life because bodily sense enjoyment finishes within 40 years or so. After 40 years, one simply leads a disillusioned life because he has no spiritual knowledge. For such a person, the expiration of youth occurs in half a moment. Thus, King Purañjana's pleasure, which he took in lying down with his wife, expired very quickly. Kam Kasmala Chetasa also indicates that unrestricted sense enjoyment is not allowed in the human form of life by the laws of nature. If one enjoys his senses unrestrictedly, he leads a sinful life. The animals do not violate the laws of nature. For example, the sex impulse in animals is very strong during certain months of the year. The lion is very powerful. He's a flesh eater and very strong, but he enjoys sex only once in a year. Similarly, according to religious injunctions, a man is restricted to enjoying sex only once in a month after the menstrual period of the wife. And if the wife is pregnant, he is not allowed sex life at all. That is the law for human beings. A man is allowed to keep more than one wife because he cannot enjoy sex when the wife is pregnant. If he wants to enjoy sex at such a time, he may go to another wife who is not pregnant. These are laws mentioned in the Manu Samhita and other scriptures. Of course, according to modern law, a man is only allowed one wife lawfully. And these laws and scriptures are meant for human beings. As such, if one violates these laws, he becomes sinful. The conclusion is that unrestricted sense enjoyment means sinful activities. Illicit sex is sex that violates the laws given in the scriptures. When one violates the laws of the scriptures or the Vedas, he commits sinful activities. One who is engaged in sinful activities cannot change his consciousness. Our real function is to change our consciousness from Kashmal, sinful consciousness, to Krishna, the Supreme Pure. So right now our consciousness is polluted, it's become very dirty. We need to clean our consciousness. We need to change our consciousness. And that is by devotional service, by hearing and chanting. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhava. Krishna is the Supreme Pure. And if we change our consciousness from material enjoyment to Krishna, we become purified. This is the process recommended by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the process of Chetan Darpana Marjana, cleansing the mirror of the heart. So, clean the mirror of the heart by chanting Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. That's what we are recommended to do. Any questions or comments?
Not really, but it is just that how perfectly the Vedic society was built. Like what we call as an orthodox, like child marriage. So it had a reason, but then it was manipulated later on. Like child marriage was so that the consciousness could be pure, both of male and female. Not only female, but also of male, because they knew that, oh, this is the one that I'm going to get married.
Yeah.
And I'm already someone else. So the conscious was so pure at that time because of all this. And even like, as you said, there was this, we also had the Gungat Pratha in India.
Yeah.
Like the women used to cover up till the eye, just so that you could not see every individual who entered your house. You need not to see their face, or there was no need, so that if he was really handsome, it could,
Yeah.
bring, and then later, like as you also mentioned, that women is mostly in Tamo and Rajo. That's very, very important. That's why, she commits so many mistakes, or that's how the things are happening. And we as an individual are fighting for equality in the modern world.
Well, we have to understand, because some people who are like into women's liberation may not agree, but how we can try to explain it is that we are all souls, We have to rise above this body consciousness.
Yeah.
But of course, understanding that man and woman each play different roles in society. Each of us have different strengths,
Duties. Yeah.
duties, different strengths,
Yeah. Okay.
and different weaknesses. And so playing on the strength of every individual, that is what was making the Vedic society a more, what do you say, more
acceptable and happy.
stable, more stable, because it
More
was playing
stable,
on the strength of every individual. That is what is important. Instead of saying, that everyone should do everything, rather play on the strength of
Yeah.
every individual and then have a team effort. So it was like a teamwork going on rather than individual work. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. They played
Yeah.
on the strength. Yeah.
Yeah, playing on the strength, playing as a
Yes.
and as a
And
team.
as a team. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'll stop here for today. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.